Hello, and welcome back to Voice of Wisdom. Have you ever thought, why am I still doing this at my age? If you're over 70, you may find yourself clinging to habits that once made sense but no longer serve you. Yet, many older adults continue to push themselves physically, socially, and emotionally, almost as if there's something to prove. But here's the truth. There comes a point when letting go isn't just wise, it's essential. After all the years you've lived, the struggles you've faced, and the wisdom you've gained, you've earned a life free from stress, guilt, and unrealistic expectations. In today's video, we'll explore 5 things people over 70 don't need to do anymore, not because you're giving up, but because you're entering a stage where peace matters more than pressure, and authenticity is far more valuable than appearances. These are habits and mindsets that have become outdated, quietly draining your energy and joy. But once you recognize them, you'll be empowered to release them. Each of these 5 changes might seem minor, but they hold the power to transform your life in meaningful ways. You regain your time, dignity, and most importantly, your freedom. Stick with me until the end, because you may be surprised by how freeing it feels to let go of what you once thought was necessary. Let's dive in. Number 1. Forcing yourself to please everyone. Many people over 70 still carry the burden of making others happy, even at the cost of their own peace. And I want to tell you, from one season soul to another, this is one of the heaviest and most unnecessary loads you can carry into your later years. It starts small. You say yes to a dinner you don't really want to attend. You keep quiet about something that bothers you because you don't want to make waves. You agree to watch the grandkids for the 3rd time that week. Even when your knees ache and you just want a quiet day, you brush it off thinking it's the right thing to do. But over time, you begin to feel like your life isn't quite yours anymore. This desire to please often comes from a lifelong habit of placing others first, especially among people who grew up in an era where self-sacrifice was praised and self-care was misunderstood as selfishness. But at this stage in life, those rules need revisiting. You've earned the right to be honest, to speak up for your needs, and to stop bending yourself in half just to keep the peace. People who truly care about you will understand, and those who don't, well, that tells you everything you need to know. There's an old saying I once heard from a friend in his 80s at some point. Your no becomes just as holy as your yes. And I never forgot that, because when you start honoring your boundaries, you make room for deeper, more authentic relationships. The kind that don't rely on you stretching yourself thin. I knew a woman named Carol, 74 years old, who spent decades trying to be the glue that held her family together. Always hosting, always saying yes, always fixing every little thing. And one day she said to me, I woke up and realized I was exhausted. Not just tired, bone deep exhausted. And not a single person had asked me how I was doing. That day she made a change. She started saying no when she meant no. And something amazing happened. Instead of falling apart, her relationships became clearer. Some grew stronger, some faded away. But in every case, she felt more alive. You don't need to feel guilty for putting yourself first at this stage in life. In fact, doing so often makes you more present, more available, and more genuinely loving in the moments you do choose to give. You've spent a lifetime giving. Now, it's time to receive a little grace for yourself. So, ask yourself this. When was the last time you did something simply because it was what you wanted, not because someone expected it of you? If it's been a while, maybe it's time to start again. Not with guilt, not with apology, but with quiet confidence that says, I've lived long enough to know what matters, and I matter too. Number 2, trying to look young for everyone else. There comes a time when chasing youth becomes more exhausting than fulfilling. For many people, that time is after 70. And yet, we live in a world that keeps whispering or shouting that you must fight aging tooth and nail. The creams, the dyes, the surgeries, the filters. The pressure to look younger than you are doesn't magically disappear once you reach your 70s. In fact, for some, it only gets stronger. But here's the quiet truth intelligent older adults understand. Looking young isn't the same as being well. And it certainly doesn't guarantee happiness. Too often, the pursuit of a younger appearance turns into a fear-driven cycle. You spot a new wrinkle and rush to erase it. Your hair grays and you panic over how others might perceive you. But instead of feeling better, you often feel more anxious because the real issue isn't the wrinkle or the hair. It's the internal belief that aging makes you somehow less valuable. That belief, it's not just false, it's harmful. Psychologically, this obsession with youth is rooted in a culture that glorifies appearances and undervalues experience. But as we grow older, we gain something youth cannot give: perspective. And when you constantly try to look young just to fit into society's expectations, you rob yourself of the dignity that naturally comes with age. Let's get practical here. There's nothing wrong with taking care of yourself, dressing well, staying clean and sharp, looking your best. But that's very different from trying to erase the very years that shaped you. A man I met at a senior community center, 79 years old, told me this: "When I finally stopped dyeing my hair and covering every wrinkle, people started seeing me. Not the version I was pretending to be, but me. And you know what?" He said it was the most freeing moment of his life. The truth is, the people who love you really love you. They aren't drawn to your smooth skin or your thick hair. They're drawn to your spirit, your humor, the way you listen without judgment, the way you carry your pain and joy with quiet strength. That's what leaves a lasting impression. So instead of wasting precious time and energy fighting age, try embracing it. Let your face tell your story. Let your body reflect a life well lived. There's a kind of confidence that only comes from owning every year you've walked through. And that confidence, it can light up a room more than any anti-aging product ever could. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now, let's move forward. Number 3, pretending to be okay all the time. One of the harshest habits many seniors carry with them into their 70s and beyond is the belief that they always have to be strong, cheerful, and perfectly fine no matter what they're going through. It's almost like we've internalized a rule. Don't complain, don't burden anyone, just smile and say you're okay. But here's the thing. Pretending to be okay when you're not doesn't make you strong. It makes you invisible, and worse, it can slowly eat away at your mental and emotional well-being. After 70, the reality is that life becomes more layered. There's grief, physical discomfort, and sometimes there's guilt about being a burden. And instead of expressing these feelings, many older adults push them deep down, thinking that silence equals strength. But in truth, silence can turn into isolation. You start to feel like no one understands you because you've spent years telling people there's nothing wrong. Stoic philosophy reminds us that being honest about our inner world is not weakness, it's wisdom. The ancient Stoics believed in recognizing pain without dramatizing it, and in speaking truth without shame. That means it's not only okay to say, "I'm having a tough day," or "I could use some company." It's necessary. You weren't put on this earth to suffer quietly, and you're not less dignified just because you admit you're hurting. Think about this. When you tell someone you're fine while carrying the weight of sadness or fear, you're not just hiding your struggle. You're also closing the door on connection. People around you, family, friends, even neighbors can't support you if they don't know you need it. And contrary to popular belief, asking for help isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign of emotional maturity. I once knew a woman named Helen, 82 years old, who spent decades never admitting when she was struggling. After her husband passed, she told everyone she was managing just fine. But behind closed doors, she was sinking. When she finally started opening up, sharing her grief in a support group, talking honestly with her daughter, something shifted. Her relationships deepened. Her laughter came back, and she no longer felt like she was living 2 separate lives. The truth is, the people who truly care about you would rather know what's really going on than hear another polite lie. They can't be there for a version of you that doesn't exist. They want to be there for you with all your scars, your fears, and your strength. So if you're still trying to hold it all together, still saying, "I'm okay," when your heart says otherwise, it might be time to stop. Not because you're weak, but because you're finally wise enough to know that honesty is what leads to healing. And you deserve to be seen, not just as a cheerful face, but as a full, complex, beautifully human being. Number 4, apologizing for living differently. At 70 and beyond, many seniors find themselves quietly apologizing for the way they choose to live. Whether it's refusing to attend noisy gatherings, needing more rest, eating dinner earlier, not keeping up with technology, or simply wanting peace over stimulation, they don't say sorry outright, but the tone is there. I hope that's okay. Sorry, I'm not much fun anymore. Or, I know I'm being a burden. These small phrases reflect something deeper, a lingering pressure to live up to other people's expectations, even in our later years. But here's the truth. Once you've passed 70, you've earned the right to live life on your terms, not according to someone else's stopwatch or social calendar. The need to apologize for prioritizing comfort, boundaries, or personal rhythms has to stop. It doesn't make you more polite, it makes you smaller. And you weren't meant to shrink in your later years. You were meant to grow into your truest self. Stoicism teaches that we should align our lives with nature and reason, not the noise of society. That means understanding what brings peace, what nourishes the soul, and what drains it. If you'd rather read a book than attend a family cookout, that doesn't make you antisocial. It means you're wise enough to choose what feeds your spirit, and there's nothing to apologize for in that. This quiet habit of over-apologizing is rooted in something. Many older adults were raised to believe that your worth depends on how agreeable, accommodating, or self-sacrificing you are. But as you age, you begin to see the cost of that mindset. Exhaustion, resentment, and disconnection from your own needs. You've spent years pleasing others. Now it's time to please your soul. I remember talking to a man named Gerald, 79, who stopped going to church events even though he felt pressured to keep showing up. He said he was tired and he just wanted his Sundays to be quiet. But every time he skipped, he felt like he had to explain himself. One day, his daughter told him, "Dad, you don't owe anyone an excuse. If it brings you peace, it's the right choice." That conversation changed him. He stopped apologizing and he started owning his new rhythm with pride instead of guilt. Older age brings clarity. You know what matters and what doesn't. You know which people give you energy and which ones quietly drain it. You know what foods agree with you, what music calms you, what pace of life actually feels good in your bones. So why apologize for honoring that wisdom? When you say sorry for being too quiet, too slow, or too different, you send yourself a message that your preferences are a problem. But they're not. They're the result of a life lived fully. A life that has earned the right to pause, reflect, and choose with intention. So here's a gentle reminder. You don't need to justify your pace. You don't need to excuse your peace. You don't need to explain why you no longer do what others expect. Your life is not a performance. It's your sanctuary, and there's nothing wrong with protecting it. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 4 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now, let's move forward. Number 5, chasing everyone's approval. One of the hardest habits to let go of as we age is the need for approval. For many people, even after 70, there's still this quiet urge to be liked, accepted, or validated by others' family, neighbors, society. We find ourselves second-guessing decisions, softening our opinions, or pretending to agree with things we don't, all because we fear being judged, excluded, or seen as too much or too different. It's a trap we've been caught in since childhood, and it often follows us into our golden years. But here's the thing. Life after 70 is too short to be lived under someone else's expectations. Stoic wisdom teaches us to focus on what we can control. Our own actions, thoughts, and values, not the opinions of others. Trying to manage how others see us is like trying to hold water in your hands. It slips through no matter how tightly you grip it. And yet, so many older adults still carry the weight of approval seeking, even when it doesn't serve them anymore. They say yes when they want to say no. They stay quiet when their wisdom could offer clarity. They dress or behave a certain way, not because it feels right, but because it fits what others expect of someone their age. But the older we get, the clearer the truth becomes. Approval is a moving target. You will never please everyone. So why keep trying? Think of Evelyn, a woman I met at a community center in her early 80s. She loved colorful clothes and bold earrings, and she had a laugh that could fill a room. But for years, she toned herself down, wore beige, stayed quiet because her daughter told her to act her age. One day, Evelyn looked in the mirror and asked herself, "Whose life am I living?" That week, she started wearing her bright colors again. She said it made her feel like herself, finally. You don't need permission to be yourself, especially not at this stage of life. The people who truly love you will never require you to shrink, pretend, or apologize for who you are. And the people who do, their approval isn't worth the price of your peace. Stoicism reminds us to act according to virtue, not applause. That means doing what's right, not what's popular, speaking your truth, not what's convenient, living with honesty, not performance. Approval is fleeting, integrity is lasting. So the next time you feel the urge to please everyone, pause and ask, is this true to me? If it's not worth your time. You've earned your wisdom. You've walked through decades of life. You've loved, lost, survived, and grown. You don't need to keep chasing acceptance like a child trying to fit in. You belong to yourself, to your values, to your own unfolding life. Let the younger generations hustle for popularity. Let others worry about fitting in. You've graduated from that race, and what replaces it is something far better. Freedom. Because the day you stop needing approval is the day you start living in full color again. Bold, unapologetic, and true. That's the beauty of growing older. You finally get to be exactly who you are without explanation. Final thoughts. As we grow older, we come to understand what truly matters in life. In our youth, we are often taught to strive relentlessly, to achieve more, and to be constantly on the go. But as the years go by, our perspective shifts. We realize that inner peace is more valuable than perpetual busyness. Genuine relationships are worth more than social prestige, and the greatest freedom lies in being true to who we really are. In truth, many of the things we once thought were essential no longer hold any significance. The habits we were once conditioned to follow are working ourselves, seeking validation from others, and living by external expectations no longer serve us after 70. Letting go of these habits doesn't equate to surrendering. Rather, it's a sign of embracing the wisdom we've gained. You've earned the right to slow down without feeling guilty. You've earned the ability to say no without the need for an explanation. You've earned the peace that comes with choosing what brings you joy and comfort. To simplify your life, to release the things that no longer nurture your spirit, takes quiet bravery. Maybe that's what aging well truly means, not clinging to youth or pretending to be someone you're not, but instead finding peace with who you are in this moment. It's about living with less pressure, fewer distractions, and more authenticity, freedom, and joy. If you've ever felt guilty about slowing down or uncertain about making changes that feel right for you, I hope this video has offered you a sense of peace. It's not only okay to step back after 70, it's essential. Creating space for what truly matters means letting go of the unnecessary. A purposeful life isn't about constant busyness or obligations. Sometimes it's about sitting with yourself, embracing your truth, and recognizing that you are enough simply because you are. So, be kind to yourself, be truthful, and most importantly, be free. This phase of life isn't the end of your story. It's your most genuine chapter yet. Thank you for joining us on Voice of Wisdom. We'd love to hear from you. Please share one thing you've learned from today's video in the comments below and how you plan to incorporate it into your life. Your thoughts motivate us to keep creating valuable content. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with others who may benefit. Your support helps us continue our mission of sharing knowledge and inspiration. See you in the next video.